to have the bollocks.
Do you really want to go toe to toe with me on that?
You've completely, like, what are we doing here? Levy isn't going anywhere.
It's all down to timing, isn't it?
Yes, guys, how you doing? Welcome back to the Spurs 5. It's Monday. It's the 8th of September. It was supposed to be the middle of International Week, but once again, there is never a dull day in Tottenham Hotspur news zeitgeist. We are back. It's three of us right now. Lubo is going to be along in about 20 minutes. He's got some family duties. Sava can't make it tonight, so it's the four of us, the awesome foursome. Guys, please strap yourselves in. Do the usuals. Smash the like button if you enjoy the content in advance or at some point throughout the show. We're going to try and set 1,000 like target tonight if that's possible and not too greedy. Hit the subscribe if you haven't already. We're on the march now to 27k, I believe. And guys, if you are watching this but you're not subbed, all you've got to do to access the chat, if you want to get into the chat, is to rub the sub, and then it should open up within like a fraction of a second. Hit the notification bell and drop a comment or two. Let us know your thoughts on today's topics. We've obviously got the big story regarding the takeover, the two offers that came out, I think it was last night, and then today, one of them's pulled back, and also the club have brought out a kind of firm statement saying that they are not for sale in any way, shape, or form. We're going to figure out what that looks like. And also, we've got Vinay's video that dropped about an hour or 2 hours ago, and whether that was kind of clear and everyone was happy with that. We're going to talk about that. Plus, we've also got a little bit of other news as well regarding Harry Kane. Apparently, he is going to be leaving Bayern Munich before the end of his contract, which would mean that next summer or this summer will be sort of the penultimate window for that to happen. Could he come back in a world without Daniel Levy? Also, Matisse Tell's reaction to not being in the Europa Champions League squad. Guys, lastly, before we get into it, if you are interested in this stuff in the podcast world, then you can follow us on Apple Pods and on Spotify, where you can watch the show back. So please go over there. The links are in the description. Smash a 5-star review if you don't mind. And today's sponsor are the wonderful people at okjersey.com. Link at the top. Hit the QR code. If you're looking for Tottenham jerseys or any particular football shirt jerseys, then you're not going to find better value, better quality than you will at okjersey.com. £15 give or take. And with the discount at checkout, the code is 5 FIVE. Shove that in, you get a further 8% off. Can't ask better than that. Johnny, my man, how are you, buddy? How are you?
I'm all right. This has got to be probably the best international break that I can ever remember. Levy's gone. Tales of sales, tales of no sales. Yeah, I mean, listen, there's so much to get your teeth into. Does bullshit reign supreme, or are we being fed truths, or are we being fed bullshit? I think there's a mix of both. I think a little bit for everybody there, depending on which side of the fence you're sitting. But for contenters and YouTubers, beautiful. Normally a dull moment. Now it's, this is enough to fill us up for a few weeks, no doubt. Personally, I don't believe that they have no ambition for selling anything, but we'll come on to that.
Yeah,
how are you, Stel?
I'm busy. I'm stressed. I'm moving house. It's an absolute headache. It's also the amount of rubbish I've collected over the years that now needs binning is unbelievable. But having said all that, big up the chat, big up you guys, big up everyone who listens to this later on podcast or the rerun. And Levy's out. I'm absolutely chuffed. Been wanting it for years and years and years. Finally got what I wanted. But I've got to be honest, guys, it is only half the job. I still think Enoch needs to go. I'm not convinced by Enoch at all, or a lot of the stories that are coming out. Some of them I think have got validity. Others I'm just, come on. I think it's PR, but we'll get into it. I'm sure it's going to be a good chat because there's so, like you said, there's so much to talk about, and it's meant to be international break. So
let's start with the statement from the club this morning or late last night at 10 to midnight. They don't mind a late drop, do they? with regards these two potential proposed bids, expressions of interest at least, and their reaction to it. The board of Tottenham Hotspur, if you haven't seen, guys, is aware of recent media speculation and confirms that its majority shareholder, Enix Sports and Development Holdings, has received and unequivocally rejected separate preliminary expressions of interest in relation to proposals to acquire the entire issued and to be issued share capital of Enix from, firstly, PCP International Finance Limited, and secondly, a consortium of investors led by Dr. Roger Kennedy and Wing Fai Ing through Firehawk Holdings. I think I'm saying the NG thing correctly, but I'm not sure. As a consequence of Enix's majority ownership interest in Tottenham Hotspur, were any offer to be made to acquire Enix and complete, a mandatory offer would be required under Rule 9 of the Code to acquire the shares of Tottenham Hotspur not already held by Enix. So any of the minority shareholders would get paid out at the relative bid price. In a nutshell, they've said that the board of the club and Enix confirmed that Tottenham Hotspur is not for sale, and Enix has no intention to accept any such offer to acquire its interest in the club. For the sort of simplicity here, I'm just going to say that they had the two people that have, or two consortiums that have put in a bid or expression of interest. They had until the 5th of October on 5 p.m., 28 days to confirm or deny, to basically make their statement clear. Do they have an intention to make a bid? And if so, there could be an extension, or do they not want to? And about 2 hours after that, guys, Amanda Stavely's consortium came out and said that is a very short statement, that they are not interested in making a full takeover bid. So they have walked it back. We haven't, I don't believe, at the time of going live here, heard yet from Firehawk Holdings. But it doesn't mean that there's no investment coming. It just means that from Amanda Stavely specifically, she now has to wait, or those people have to wait 6 months, unless they are allowed back in through invitation, before they can make another expression of interest or potential bid. Firehawk, we've still got to wait and see. Before we get into anything else, guys, Johnny, what's your thoughts on just that particular news item? And go where you like with it, my man.
Wing Fai NG. That's my favourite at Chinese restaurant. I personally think that why these bids just suddenly coming out now? What they waited for Daniel to leave. He left on Thursday, and we've had bids. We've had bids already, but they don't meet the criteria. And one of those bids from PCP, Amanda Stavely, she's already said, "Oh, we're not bidding." There's too many truths and untruths here. Personally, I think right from the start, before Daniel left the building, I said I thought the easiest way to raise money without giving away 1% of your equity was to sell off a 20-year naming rights deal. That gets you in the money. That would cover probably the capital-intensive projects of the hotel. White Webs, Hotspur Way's already accounted for. The finance is there for that. So I that's what I thought. Do I think that there's absolutely no interest in selling a stake in Spurs? No, I don't. Because as I've said before, 2 years ago, Daniel, having tried to get money from the city, found that finance and loans were considerably higher than the 2.75% that he managed to fantastically secure on the £675 million debt. But now these loans were going to cost a shitload more. So he appointed Rothschilds to find someone who would be willing to take a stake in the club. They are still appointed by Tottenham Hotspur to find someone who would like to take a stake in the club. So why are they saying they've got no interest in selling a stake in the club? But they're not really saying that, are they, Sean? That statement basically says, if you are interested, we're not interested, but should you be interested and want to give us the right amount of money, we would be interested. I think this is just smoke and mirrors and PR at the moment. The kids suddenly want to take over now. Why have they waited to this moment to take over? Why is it only now they're interested in the sporting merits of the club when they weren't before? what has Daniel done to trigger them to ask for him to be removed? I mean, there is the theory, I suppose, with Joe, when Joe was around, he's the big wig, you don't question him. But now with Daniel getting all the sort of PR, good PR or bad PR, walking around like it's his club, maybe they're sat at home, the brother and sister, saying, Vivian and her brother, saying, well, hang on a minute, this isn't his club. This is our club. This is our club. We should be taking control of that. And he shouldn't be getting all the glory and talking about it like he owns it. We own the majority of it. He doesn't. I still think there's a relationship there, though, Sean. I'm not a buyer that they've all massively fallen out, because Josh, Daniel's son, is still on the board of Tavistock. And if there was a massive falling out and an ousting, you know, so what are we saying? That his son was behind the ousting and knew all about it and the dad didn't? No, I don't buy it. I believe that Daniel has moved
his
aside.
wife resigned, though. His wife, as soon as he left, his wife resigned. Daniel Levy's wife stepped down from the assistant role or whatever.
So. I get that, but I believe that Daniel is there, not running the football side, but he's involved in what he excels at, and that would be the property development, the housing development, the hotel, and White Webs. And I think he'll be very much involved in that. And nothing I've done, I've seen so far changes my mind. I will come back because I've got so much to say. Let Stel have a go.
Yeah, Stel, what's your initial thoughts with regards, I guess, the statement? I mean, was it clear enough, or does it leave a lot of room for interpretation in your mind?
One, it's professional. Two, this is Vinay. This is Vinay. Vinay is very good at communication for the fans. It's what he did at Arsenal. When I speak to my Arsenal mates, they always said they were torn over Vinay. They weren't 100% with him, but they always said to me, look, one thing he is good is fan engagement. He'll speak to the fans. He'll speak to the different Spurs. Maybe it's YouTube channels. Maybe it's podcasts. Maybe it's the Trust. He will create fan engagement. So this to me is Vinay grabbing hold of comms, which is what we've needed, by the way. We need this. We've needed this for years. In terms of the club being for sale, I try to just apply common sense and not necessarily business knowledge to these things. So everything is for sale. Everything. You don't have to put up a for sale sign, okay? You might really like your house. Let's say your house is worth £500,000. Let's say you've got a car that's worth £5,000. And let's say you've got a gold ring that your grandparents gave to you that was handed down from your great grandparents, and now you're the holder of that ring. Someone knocks on your front door and says, I'll give you £1 million for your £500,000 house. You're going to sell it. If someone offers you 15 grand for your £5,000 car, you're going to sell it. And if someone offers you £250,000 for that family ring, you are probably going to sell it. Everything has a price. So when they say the club's not up for sale, that's them just trying to calm the fans down to prevent any hysteria or speculation. And it's also to up the price a bit. It's a message to the people that want to buy the club. We're not for sale, but make us an offer big enough where we can put out a communication that says, okay, we're for sale now. So I don't believe the club isn't up for sale. The only way I would believe it's not for sale is if the people that are going to take over, let's assume it's the kids of Joe Lewis, right? Let's just make that assumption. They've adamantly said, Dad, we want to take over. We want to run it. We want to take it to the next level. We want to inherit this. This is what we want.
Yeah.
Then I could say, okay, the club's not up for sale. But we don't know if they've said that or not. But I think everything has a price. And I think if a massive, silly offer comes in, you bet they're going to sell. They're ruthless. They're business people. They'll take the money. I agree with Johnny, though, that I think Levy will stay on board for developing White Webs, developing future growth for NFL, for developing hotels. But you know what, guys? I don't have an issue with that. He's good at that. He's really good at that. Right. I've never had an issue with Levy doing that. Just not the football. Just stay away from the football. And you know what? Let's see what someone else can do. So that's where I'm at with it for now.
So do you guys think then, because I guess my take on it is, I don't know anything, but my gut tells me that the chronology of all of the events that we've been a party to, all of the different news drops, the journalists that are supposed to be in the know, the Times, the Sky News, the Telegraph, Matt Laws, all of these people are dropping little nuggets that suggest to me that there's like not all is well at sea. Like it's not a convivial departure, that the Lewises, the kids are stepping in and want to almost like run a clean slate, almost pretend like with Daniel Levy out the way, things are going to change. And even if the relationship between the Lewises and the Levys are, goes back decades and they're very tight, at the end of the day, Daniel Levy is his baby. And if he's going to feel like the media are spinning the narrative into it putting lipstick on a pig, and that ENIC have gone, like ENIC could have invested money long before they're now saying that they will, right? Obviously the interview that came out, the video that dropped a couple of hours ago with Vinay, where he's saying that we're not for sale and that the Lewises are going to back the club, yada yada yada. To me, it's like it doesn't add up. None of it adds up. Like the story that you said, you mentioned communications, right? The Vinay's great at communications. It was only 90 days ago that he dropped the video. His very first visual demonstration of his role at Tottenham was to do a co-sign with Daniel Levy, where he said, "We're both lockstep. Nothing will happen at this club unless both myself and Daniel are on board it." A month or 3 weeks later, Daniel Levy's dropping a video with Gary Neville where he's saying, "I'm still very much involved in all of the transfers." Then you have the Eze debacle, where all of the rumours that were coming out from the same journalists is that Daniel Levy nickel and dimed that deal into a position where Parish didn't want to do it. Where's the logic that Daniel Levy, if he thought he was being moved to one side, why would he nickel and dime for his last act as a chairman, or one of his final acts as a chairman? Why not get it done if he's getting stepped aside anyway? When you think about the Donna Maria Cullen, his right-hand woman, who always backed him on everything, she was asked to stay on for a year longer than she was supposed to. Maybe these murmurings of discontent were happening a while ago. She was asked to stay on. Now she suddenly got kicked out. News to everybody when it happened.
Sure. How long have Charrington and Vinay been here?
Charrington came in March, Vinay came in April.
Right. So April, May, June, July, August. So 5 months for Charrington, 4 months for Vinay. Do you not think that Levy had to stay to transition across tasks, roles, understanding, contacts, how the club works, how the FA works, how the league works? I'm sure he had to stay because he has to transition across the role and the role. So I get why he didn't go straight away. And you know what?
But why drop that communication? If you're Vinay and you're the communication king, why drop a scenario where you could then latterly be accused of being disingenuous with the narrative if it wasn't true, if it wasn't intended to be long term?
But I don't think anyone's calling Vinay disingenuous. I think if you look at all,
I'm suggesting it's disingenuous if this was known all along.
Yeah, you're suggesting it, but if you look at all the feedback, if you look at the comments on the video, he dropped a video tonight on Sky Sports. If you look at most of the comments, it's all positive right now. Everything that's coming out of the club, fans are taking it in a positive way. Whether it should be taken in a positive way is a different question, but it is. So from a comms perspective, it's much better than the reaction should Dollar Cullen write a script for Levy or someone else and put it out. So I think the comms.
How long is that good faith going to last?
Well,
if it turns out that
results, football pitch results will determine that.
Well, football pitch results and what happens in January, but what we've craved at this club for years and years and years is communication, because we've always had to fill in the gaps. We've always had to second guess what the club were thinking. What was the club's ambition? Where did they want to go? And I think with Vinay, as I said, when Vinay came in, I had all the people messaging me telling me I was talking shit because, I spoke to my Arsenal mate and he said this, and they're talking rubbish. He was instrumental in doing a lot of positive work at Arsenal. He got the Emirates deal. He got the Adidas deal. He was instrumental in bringing the women's game up to where it is. What we've craved, as I said, was communication, and Stel mentioned it at the beginning. And so to have someone at this early stage, we've already had 2 interviews with him, or 2 sort of statements, and in this one, he did say that he was surprised that Daniel had gone. He's only just had this meeting with Daniel. That to me seemed very staged. The initial one was just, I don't know. It was.
I'm sorry. In the one today, you're saying he said.
The previous one. The previous.
Oh, that was such a bromance. That was so fake.
It was. It just seemed fake to me at this time. I said to him, it was a bit sickening. It was a bit sickening. And then we had the Gary Neville, right? Where I when I leave, people will realise what I've done for the club, and there he is 3 weeks later. He's leaving. It just seems very, very staged. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Daniel was actually directing Vinny's movie today. Listen,
you thought, sorry, I'm just trying to catch. Are you saying that today's video was staged or the first one was staged?
I'm saying all of them.
Yeah, because today I felt was also incredibly forced. It looked really really staged today as well.
Look, what I'm saying to you is the 2 have been staged. The Gary Neville one. Look, why is Daniel, who never says anything, suddenly has done an interview with Simon Jordan, which let's be serious. I kept asking, why has he not released this interview? I was listening to TalkSport when he said, I've done this interview with Daniel. It will be out soon. Why isn't it out? When's it coming? And people asking. It still hasn't been released. But the value of that interview with Daniel Levy has now gone through the roof because of the fact of what's transpired.
No, not necessarily, mate. It all depends on the comment. If the question, if the content of that interview is him talking about him being all over everything, like he was in the Gary Neville interview, then it's completely worthless now because he's not involved in anything at all.
Well, let's see what happens. I mean, Simon Jordan, his best mate. You saw that interview. I'll be honest, I haven't watched that Simon Jordan video where he's talking on TalkSport today about his theory as to what's happened. It's his mate.
It's all Joe Lewis, Johnny. He said it's all Joe Lewis, and anyone who thinks what's going on at the club has got anything to do with Charlie, Vivian, or anyone else hasn't got a clue about power. He
also said Levy's lawyering up, which is sort of, and by the way, I hadn't seen the interview before I landed on my own take on it. I sympathise with the argument. I personally think that this, to me, again, could be wrong. No one knows. Probably am wrong. But to me, the chronology of the whole thing, all of the different interactions, all of the news drops.
How can Levy lawyer up? He owns Enid. He owns a percentage of Enid. What's he going to do? Sue his own company?
Yeah, for payouts and things, of course. 100%. But like the reality is that, to me,
he hasn't been fired though. He stepped down.
We don't know that, do you? We don't know that. Donna Maria Cullen, like, stepped down, pushed, forced. It doesn't matter, does it? Like, it's essentially politics that you won't know. To me, though, if it wasn't for the fact that the Levys and the Lewises have got massive sort of legacy heritage together, and if it wasn't for the fact that Levy's son is on board of Tavistock or whatever, if it wasn't for that reality, to me, everything else about this story stinks of Daniel Levy being the fall guy for an attempt from the Lewis children to whitewash the history of the lack of ambition that starts with them, not with Levy, because Levy wasn't asset rich enough, wasn't liquid enough, to be able to put the money in himself. Every time, Johnny, we always spoke about this, and you were talking from a place of knowledge. Yeah. Every time he tried to go and get money, Lewis said no, unless you want to get diluted, right?
Correct.
So
sure.
Daniel Levy's being represented as the guy. Hang on one second, Stel. Daniel Levy's being represented as the guy that was the cop block on the ambition, and the Lewises are saying that now that he's out of the way, don't worry, we want what the fans want, which is more and more and better and better. And maybe that will prove to be the case. At the end of the day, who gives a shit? Outcomes are all that matters. If we get money to spend, great. But in the intermittent period, I think Daniel Levy is being made to look like the bad guy by the Lewises, the children, who want to get a free hit at a clean slate when they are responsible in part for the reason why for 25 years, people like you, Stella, have been complaining about the owners.
Why didn't they bring the money in? Why is the money only coming now, Stel? I mean, like, they could have given Daniel this money 18 months ago, 2 years ago. They could have given him
money? Johnny,
well,
what money?
the supposed 100 million injection, which isn't going to go too far. I mean, it will help cash flow enormously. And for those who still don't
have we seen that money, or is it just talk at the moment?
No, it's at the moment it's talk, right? Granted, it's talk. But what I'm saying is, you see people saying, well, 100 million, what's that going to do, right? Well, people got to understand, but people think if you buy a player for 60 million, you've only got 40 million left. It doesn't work like that. It's amortized over the period. So that 100 million gets you more than two players, one of 60 million, one of 40 million. It helps with the cash flow. And obviously now we're generating money with Champions League and the 32 events. There's a lot more money coming in, but that money probably is backed up. So the 100 million gives us cash flow. Look, there's been rumours, lots of rumours that there's cash to spend in January. I basically I 100% know that they need money for the hotel, for the development across the road, and for White Webs. Now, where's that going to come from? It's not going to come from hundreds of millions of pounds from Joe Lewis. It's going to come from investment. And I don't know what everyone's thinking, to be truthful with you.
Can I big up? Hi, Ian. Sean, can I just jump on what you said? Right, I agree that Levy's become a bit of a scapegoat. I don't actually disagree with you on this. For me, I've always been Levy and ENIC out. I've been both out. I've not wanted either. What I believe's happened is Levy has been removed, like you said, because there is some kind of power struggle going on somewhere. But I think it's been coming because all the chants, mostly online, have most of the conversation across the media over the last 2-3 years has always been Levy. Once in a while, someone will drop, what about Joe Lewis? Once in a while, one commentator or one journalist will talk about Joe Lewis and ENIC. But it's often Levy. The brand Levy is what has tarnished Spurs the most when it comes to resentment against the club's behaviour when it comes to football. So I do believe he's become the scapegoat. And at the end of the day, they kept Levy in power for 25 years. They could have sacked him 10 years ago, 5 years ago. There's been many. For me, sacking Mourinho before a cup final, Levy should have been fired that day. That day, he should have gone for that. But they kept him to the point of where the protests have become too big. The conversation of Levy has become too consistent. Simon Jordan has almost become his online PR solicitor, right? Every time you put on Talk Sport, Simon Jordan's talking about Levy because someone's called in to have a go at Levy. So yeah, they've looked at it and said, you know what? Let's take Levy out of the picture. Maybe it'll calm things down a bit. But you're absolutely right. Joe Lewis is the biggest culprit, bar none. Bar none. Unfortunately, I do believe that with a different set of eyes running Tottenham from a chairman perspective and a different approach to how the academy functions, a pathway for youth into the academy, sticking with the manager instead of firing them all the time, another chairman could be doing a lot better football-wise than Levy. So that's why I'm not against him going. But I did say at the start of the show, we're halfway there. I still don't trust ENIC. I still have an issue with Joe Lewis.
It is hard to believe. It is hard to believe that suddenly, we're getting this rhetoric that the club wants to see Joe Lewis and the children and ENIC want to see success now on the football pitch, sporting success, because everything now is aligned, turnkey operation. We got 32 events now, unbelievable. We're in the Champions League, unbelievable money coming in. We've got the ability to negotiate a new shirt sponsor next year, because I would guess that AIA will be leaving because Sony's not there. Lots of money events coming, but all of a sudden we're to believe that ENIC are ready for sporting success to invest the money, but they weren't when Daniel was there. They weren't when Daniel needed the money.
100%.
That's the bit for me that just doesn't ring true.
That's what I call bullshit on. I don't feel the same as a lot of you guys about the ownership overall, but and I'm not trying to defend Daniel Levy here. I couldn't give a shit about Daniel Levy's tenure. He's gone, whatever. But the point I'm making is that I think that the Lewises are trying to whitewash the history of who it was and who it wasn't that was showing ambition in an effort to get a free hit at a short memory, an audience with a short memory. And, you know, in January, 100 million quid coming in doesn't even replace the 120 million quid that was taken out of the club over the last 3 years for the property projects, right? So, like, if people were going to be kind of brainwashed or have the wool pull over their eyes by the daughter and the son, I don't think you should buy it. I could be wildly wrong about this, but I think that Daniel Levy has been the scapegoat here to try to give them a free hit at a clean slate. And they don't, if you are of the opinion that the owners and Levy, ENIC, all that stuff have been poor, then you shouldn't give the Lewis children a free hit under the premise that Daniel Levy was the problem, because they had the opportunity to invest. They could have asked their daddy for money anytime they wanted.
The fans aren't stupid. The fans aren't stupid, right? As soon as Levy was fired, I got messaged this question quite often. So who are you going to blame now? I got asked that question, and I said, blame now for what? If it still doesn't work, who are you going to blame? And I said, Joe Lewis, all day long. He doesn't get a free hit. He doesn't get any free hits. What they get is a bit more time to see if they can start doing it the right way. If it doesn't happen quickly enough, and I'm not talking about 3 months' time, if in a year, 18 months, we are still in the same boat, Sean, protesters, fans will go after Joe Lewis next. They're not getting a free hit. No chance. No way.
Do we think he's compass mentis? I mean, just to be serious here, the guy's seriously old. Do we even know if he's compass mentis? Because the rumours is that he's in very bad health.
92?
I don't know how old he is. But
is he a bit Joe Biden? Is he a bit Joe Biden?
He's 88. But I mean, I don't believe he's compass mentis. You know, maybe the kids have. But why now? Look, Ian, Lubo and I have heard the rumours for years that Vivian is not a fan. But, you know, why wait now? Why wait to now? You know, why wait now for this to happen? Just seems like very weird. The whole thing seems weird.
Johnny, do you think maybe it's because Joe Lewis is at that age where he now needs to move on, and his family or the people that are going to inherit his trust, they've sat down with him and said, you know, this has to now change. It's come to that point. Do you think maybe that's happened? Is that a possibility?
Yeah, well, no, because I mentioned it before. You know, they've watched Daniel taking all the glory, or all the pain now. Maybe they think to themselves, you know what? He's done all the dog work for us. He's got us into the position off the pitch in such a way, we could kick him out now or ask him to move on. We could come in now like the knight in shining armor, bring in some money and take the glory on the pitch and say, look, we got rid of him. He was the cock block. Now we've got money. Clubs want to deal with us. We don't have any problem dealing with Chelsea and this club and that club. Everyone wants to deal with us. Look, we've got money, we've got inward investment, everything's rosy in the garden now, whereas it wasn't before. And they see an opportunity for this to happen, which maybe wouldn't have been able to happen 5 or 6 years ago. You know, the move to the stadium, all the teething problems that we've had over the last 3 or 4 years, it wouldn't have been the right time. Now is the right time, maybe.
Evening, guys.
Lubo, welcome to the show, mate. You look incredibly dapper this evening. How was your family night?
Very nice, thank you. Very nice.
He's ready to become chairman. Look at him.
Daniel Lubo. Yeah. Lubo, listen, mate, we're talking about the kind of, we haven't talked about really the Staveleys or the Chinese consortium yet. We'll come to that in a little while. We're just trying to figure out whether or not we buy the story as it's been presented. You know, I've made the argument that I don't buy it for a second. I'm not defending Levy or any of that stuff. It's just around whether the story that's being presented is legit. I think Johnny thinks it's more legit than I do, and I think Stella is possibly somewhere in between, but he's just more interested right now in giving the Levy gone thing a chance. Where do you sit on the whole thing, Lubo?
I sit on the fact that Levy has been the face of ENIC for the best part of 25 years. And there has been a complete, for me, I'm just talking football now. We're just talking about the football side, aren't we? We know Levy's done a great job commercially. I'm just talking football. There has been a complete lack of ambition shown by ENIC with Levy as the front man. And I've heard in the past that Lewis's son isn't that interested in football. His daughter is a Liverpool fan. So all of this that I'm hearing from them comes as a bit of a surprise. Has, two things that come to mind. Firstly, have they woken up having seen the Europa League win in Bilbao plus the parade? Have they actually woken up and realised that this is a massive club? And what the hell have they been doing for the last 24 and a half years? Or is this a situation it's now, well, thanks very much, Daniel, you've got the club a financial platform. Now we're gonna take it on from here. Thanks. Oh, one cup of tea.
What's going on here?
Room service.
It turns up.
Silver Salver. He's 2 minutes. He already thinks he's Joe Lewis. Huh?
Turns up in his chairman's jacket. Room service. What the?
No,
heck?
I went out. It's not a chairman's jacket at all. It's funny. It just reminds me. Do you remember the Don Johnson look many years ago for the older viewers?
No, he thinks it's Miami Vice.
I loved it with the t-shirt and the jacket. It was brilliant. Love that look. Anyway, moving away from Don Johnson and back to Joe Lewis.
Don Johnson. Half the audience don't know who that is, by the way. Just so
you're probably right. They can all Google Miami Vice. Simon, and a biscuit, Luba. No biscuits. We've just been out to eat, Simon.
Do you get a biscuit? Does it come with a biscuit? And silver salver.
It didn't come with a biscuit. It didn't come with a biscuit.
Johnny, the prawn sandwiches are coming in 5 minutes. Don't worry.
Yeah. Lost my train of thought now. What was I talking about?
25 years of failure, I think you were about to go into. I'll save you the trouble, Lubo. Like 25 years, he didn't do anything on the football side. Is that what you were going to say?
All of a sudden now, they want to get busy and they want to be the best and we want to win more. And my personal opinion is that this whole thing that's come out about. See, Sean's just put his cup of tea order in there.
Do you really think I'm ordering a cup of tea, or do you think I'm ordering a refreshment on my beer? Let's be entirely honest.
I'm getting in on this. Excuse me.
I make friends with tea.
Bring me coffee.
Yeah.
Johnny, where's the missus? Where's the missus to get room service up?
Coffee.
What do I think? I think the statement that's come out today that we're not selling, I think is purely if you say you are selling, they'll drive you down on price. If you say you're not selling and people want something, that pushes the price up. They are selling.
Thank you very much.
For me, I don't think
Sean, you need to explain this to people that are going to listen on a podcast later. What's going on here?
About 2.5 minutes ago, you might have heard a little bang on the door. That was Lubo's secretary or wife or someone coming in with a cup of tea. And then the last 2.5 minutes have been the rest of us iterating on how we can get ourselves one of those. And Johnny's just got himself one delivered as well. Well done, Johnny.
There you go. What do I think? I think we're selling. I think this could be a drawn out affair with negotiations, but I honestly think that ENIC will be selling the club. I think the initial investment coming in will be for naming rights, followed by maybe a Jim Ratcliffe type 25% with a lead on to buying the whole club. That's my personal feeling. That's how I see it going.
Okay.
I
let's spin a little bit into that next
Sean?
category then. Oh, yeah,
Sean,
go on. Sorry.
I want to ask Lubo something. So, you know, a lot of Spurs fans are talking. Suddenly, everyone knows Joe Lewis's kids, the names of his kids, right? We all know his kids now. Do you think these rumors about Vivian and Charlie wanting to take over because they love the club and all the media speculation about the Lewis family, you know, they're now linked to everything that's going on? Do you think that's just all nonsense then?
Listen, the kids may well have seen what went on in May. I mean, even the players, you know, watching Mickey van der Ven's interview, just saying how much better winning a trophy felt than he could actually imagine. And maybe they felt the same. Maybe they got the Tottenham bug. Maybe they realise.
Yeah, but if ENIC are selling, then they're not going to be here. That's my point.
No, they're not. They're not. If ENIC are staying...
So their bug is irrelevant.
Logic, Lubo. Let me ask you this, Lubo, just quickly though. Daniel Levy said for 2 years, we are actively trying to seek new investment to expand the equity base. He didn't. He said we're not trying to sell the club. We are trying to get new investors in, right? And that can come from. We'll talk about what that looks like in a second. If the statement from Vinay earlier on this evening said, he said, "Don't worry, the Lewises are going to back the club," all that stuff. If the money suddenly is going to come from them, then again, it goes back to why now not over the last 25 years or the last 2 years specifically. And if it's not going to come from them, if they're going to put 100 million in, as the argument is suggesting that they might do, and the rest of the financing is going to come from somebody else, then Daniel Levy leaving, the only benefit of him leaving the football club is to, from a transfer perspective, is to get him out of the way and to try and rebuild some of the bridges that he's burnt with his with his difficult negotiation style. But if the money's coming in anyway from somewhere else, and the ENIC are putting in 100 million, which they could have done years ago, this kind of fresh, clean sheet, this new change, this don't worry, it's business as usual, but with a high level of ambition, aren't they taking credit for the money that's coming in from other people if some of that money is what's going to be the catalyst for us to kick on and win more, which is what they said that they wanted to do?
Yes, definitely. You know, when you consider the initial outlay for, I think it was 22 million for 29% that they bought from Alan Sugar. They left in with 13% initially. They have carried out share issue rights that have basically diluted the shareholders that were left, people like myself, and there's 30,000 like me that own 13%, and they have taken their expenditure up to around, give or take, 250 million. So, but it's only ever been on shares. They've never actually, you know, when they
have to do it. They have to do it that way.
Okay, but they haven't actually put money in that would be repaid.
They have to do it that way, or they can take loans out. And after today's Man City settlement, that whole APT thing and zero rate interest loans, all that stuff's going to change again. But the ENIC can only put money into the club one way or the other, via a loan or via injection of capital that dilutes shareholders.
Sure. You have to ask if all of a sudden they're saying for the first time in 25 years, we're putting a cash injection in for 100 million, which we will take back at the time of a sale, then that is the first time in 25 years this has happened. So, yeah, we also saw Vinay's interview, didn't we, on Vinay's chat on Spurs Play today for 9 minutes. That was, you know, if you're a Spurs fan, you're listening to that, then obviously you're really encouraged, aren't you? You know, this is exactly what you wanted from ENIC. Will they come through with it? I don't know. Who knows?
I can't believe of all the people on the panel, who's the least impressed by what I heard today, or by what we heard, is me, who's the person who's accused of defending our current owners. I think the whole thing stinks to high heaven of a wall, like a pulling the wool over people's eyes, and everyone seems to be thinking it's like the people that I would suspect would be so suspicious. you, Lubo, and Stelios, and to a lesser degree, Johnny, you guys are more buying into it than I am, who's the person that would usually be accused of being the defender of that whole narrative.
We got a bit
Sean,
of
I said I don't believe that the club is not. When they said the club's not for sale, I said I don't believe that. I did say I don't believe that.
Listen, it's like you're playing hard to get, isn't it? You don't make it too easy. You play hard to get. You got the price up.
That's enough about my antics at Henry Wright's wedding on Saturday night.
I know what you do at home, Lubo, is shouldn't be really brought onto the pod. But I think. Listen, I've stuck to the same thought since March, since he came in, Charrington, and those who say that Vinay didn't do anything really of note. He's been there he was there from 2010. You know, he came in as global development and worked his way up to replace Gazidez as the CEO, and done a bloody good job. I mean, he came in that COO position after Arsenal had just finished 8th, their worst position, I think, since 94 or 95. Brought in Arteta and developed the women's football team. So I do believe that Vinay has the tools. He has the people skills that Daniel didn't possess to be believable when you're sitting down and hearing him in these interviews. And as Stel mentioned before, you know, if you speak to Arsenal fans, they'll tell you his fan liaison was absolutely superb. And, you know, what is the one thing all the fan groups keep saying? Levy's fan liaison was an absolute joke. It was never up to scratch. So here we are with, you know, them trying to reach out and make some communications. I do think it's slightly hollow, though, in the sense that we're not looking for investment, because they obviously are, as I keep saying. They're still with Rothschilds. You know, I knew they were with Rothschilds before they announced they were with Rothschilds. And like the fact of the matter is, here we are 2 years later. I don't believe that they're not looking anymore. They do need the money.
No, they are. Just not for sale. Not a complete sale.
Yeah, not a complete sale, but it can be, Sean. It can be a rolling acquisition. Okay, sure. It can start with a 10% acquisition. You know, I've always had the theory that, probably wrongly, that QSI are desperate to get out of PSG, and they'd love to jump in at Spurs. And by buying a 10% stake and potentially naming rights, Qatari Air Stadium, or whatever it is, or one of the companies in QIA, which is the bigger company that swallows up QSI, that a company, one of those could potentially be the naming rights, or it's the Saudis. I mean, I'm sure that the Saudis look at the Saudi PIF fund, must look at the purchase of Newcastle and wish they'd actually gone south to Spurs, because there's a lot more movement there in the actual turnkey operation. The amount of money that's being derived off field is huge, and Newcastle are nowhere near producing those sort of numbers that they're producing in London right now. Sorry, Ian, would you want to say something, mate?
If you just keep it simple, just say Lewis was to sell 10% of the club for 400 million. They need 300 million to build the hotel. They are contracted to UEFA to have that hotel up and running well before.
So where did you get 300 million pounds from? It's not going to cost that much to build a hotel.
That's what Spurs reckon they need to finish the hotel.
Yeah, well said.
Maybe the entire project behind the South Stand, but not one hotel.
Look, the hotel, as we've stated before, the naming rights gives them the money for the hotel and the White Webs development. Okay. And
do you guys, when you said 300 million, Lubo, is that a place? Is that a number you've seen, or is that just a like plucking out of the air estimation?
No, that's a number that's been reported on several platforms. They've spent 90 million already, which I think has been putting the foundations in.
90 million.
I'm reading.
Lubo, sorry, guys.
That can't be true.
This is-
That can't be
this is-
true.
Guys,
They've spent 90 million already. They've spent 90 million already on the hotel.
I've got a close friend. This is what he does. This is what his family do, right? And the way it works is they build a hotel and then they lease it to a Marriott, a Hilton, and then the person that's built the hotel just takes 10% per year. They manage the whole thing, the whole lot, right? So Spurs will team up with a hotel brand pre-built. Okay, they've probably already got tenders going out now, and it won't cost 90 million for foundations. No chance.
I don't think Tottenham are intending to do the leasing of the hotel to someone else. Let them build it, because the whole purpose of doing it is part of it.
Do you know why they will? Shall I tell you why they will? Because they haven't got the expertise or knowledge in running a hotel. It's easier to say
they might lease out the running of the management of it, but in terms of building it, the cost of doing it's not going to be occupied.
Yeah, correct. It's the management of it that's leased out, not the ownership.
Not the ownership. Can I just say, when I was doing business with Tottenham, whilst they were building the stadium, and I had lots of meetings with the guys there, and they were looking for a partner. I'm going back 6 years now. At that stage, they were looking for a partner for the hotel. This is how long this has been going on. It's not sort of a new project, but the hotel has changed. We had more floors on the hotel. They added floors to the hotel. The design of the hotel has changed. But I think it's actually, this is an unusual sort of hotel, because I think you'll be at full occupancy for the majority of the year. First of all, you've got the football weekends. You've also got the conferences. I don't think people realise how many conferences are at the club every week. They're full. Honestly, so many conferences and events going on. Then you've got the boxing, and then you've got the concerts. So you sell packages. I think that. I think they won't have any problem making money from that hotel. But
all of that stuff aside, Johnny, the question was about the specific cost of it. Forget about how much money it's going to. I'm sure it'll make a fortune over 50 years. But in terms of the cost of it, is it 300 million quid that you and Lubo are nodding your head to?
No, I never said that. I never said it.
I thought you were nodding when Lubo said it.
No. It's the last set of plans.
Lubo's by himself then on that one, is he?
Yeah, no, I never nodded that. I said that I said they would.
Johnny, maybe the 300 million includes White Webs as well.
No,
this is what I said. It's not just the hotel. It's going to be a lot more.
Let one person speak.
Go ahead, Sean. 29 stories for the new plans have taken up to 29 stories.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's increased.
Floors. Yeah, 29 floors. So.
But when you said the 90 million that they've already spent, are you sure are you not confusing that number with the number that's come out of Tottenham Hotspur's accounts for property purchases in the last 2 years? Is that where you're getting the 90 million from?
Was that not, did I not read that was 120 million?
120 over 3 years, but 90 over the last two.
So you're saying 10 million a floor? 10 million a floor?
No, but that was purchasing shitloads of other people. All I know is things here at the same time. Stop worrying about the profit the hotel will make. Stop worrying about everything. How much money do we know? How much money that the hotel itself, just the hotel, is going to cost?
I can guarantee you, it does not cost 90 million pounds for the foundations. Lubo, you said for the foundations, no chance.
Listen, can I just tell you honestly?
Nothing will get built. Nothing would get built in London if that was the case.
Building costs, right? Can I just jump in here, right? To someone who's built houses and stuff, right? I would say to you that building costs have escalated ridiculously. Building costs have gone up by about 50-60%, right? Raw materials, labor, and all the rest of it. So exponentially, this delay has cost them an absolute fortune. But I would hazard a guess to say that they would be looking for a partner who would potentially partner up with them, and maybe sponsor of the hotel. So that will offset quite a bit of it. But I can't see it costing 10 million a floor.
Must be.
I don't think so.
Must be for the whole project, which includes White Webs, the NFL.
This is what I said to you. It's the whole South Stand behind project. It's the whole lot. It has.
Or we've just plucked the number out of thin air because Jeff, ITK Jeff, who just happens to read Twitter a couple of hours before Lubo gets round to it. Hi, Jeff, by the way, has told him that it was 300 million, and that's what he's quoted.
I will retract the figures there. I think it's 300 million for the whole project that they were looking for.
Now you're just
That's
moving.
what I said at the beginning.
No, but how do you know it's 300 million for the whole project? If you've just retracted one, can we just forget about the whole 300 million?
But Sean, that's more realistic though. That's more realistic though. So more realistic.
We're just making it up though. We're just making up the number now. Can we move on with the next? Forget about it.
Hang on a second, Lubo. Hang on a second. The White Webs project, right, is a big project. Okay, the White Webs project, although they haven't named it yet, will include a move on to the NFL. Although when they apply for planning permission, they seem to have omitted the NFL and concentrated on giving jobs to women and the women's football project, which resonated with the council. But I can bet your bottom dollar that once that's work started and it's underway for the women's facility, training facilities, pitches, and a little mini stadium, what have you, that's going to run into a considerable amount of money. But the NFL will be offsetting a lot of that. That's where a lot of the money will go. But one thing I can tell you, if a hotel build is 95 million, for example, you can bet your bottom dollar it'll be running 15, 20% over budget, because every single bloody project ever built runs over project, especially in this country.
Sean, what I'm going to do is this, right? I'm going to speak to my friend tomorrow. This is what they do. They're beyond minted.
Text him now. Text him now. Text him
now
and say, how much will it cost to build a 30-story hotel in Tottenham? And then we'll just move on.
I'll text him now, right? If it doesn't answer now, by the next show,
I will have the show.
Where's Jeff?
I will have realistic valuation costings by the next show. I promise you. But I will. Right, I'll message him now. I'll message him now.
Listen, we got an hour to go in the show. I want to move on to the actual some of the potential bidders. We got the Stavely thing. She's walked away. She said she's not going to be making a bid, which means she now has to go 6 months. Before we get to that, we'll talk about the Chinese consortium as well, and also potentially any of the others that might be there or thereabouts. Before we do that, let's do a couple of super chats. Big up to you, Mr. Dean Law. Always here, my man. Choo choo to you. Super sticker train. Very much commended. Dina, you're always here, mate. Doesn't matter where we are, you're always supporting. Very, very appreciative. Super Spurs TV. Big up Blaine. He says, 2 question, guys. Well, what a donation as well. 2 question, guys. The video from Vinny with relation to the comment, our major shareholders in the Lewis family, is that strangely worded in his opinion? Our major shareholders in the Lewis family. Is that strangely worded to you guys at all?
Our major shareholders. Yeah, who are the major shareholders in the Lewis family? The Lewis family.
Well, they trust, right? Yeah, with Charlie and Vivian, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure, Lane. It doesn't read too strange to me, but maybe if we can turn that into a conspiracy, mate, I'm here for it. Secondly, how much do you believe the kids running the trust changes things? I think we've covered that one pretty extensively in the last hour. Blaine, mate, thank you so much for the super chat, buddy. I think it doesn't change a lot. I think it's lipstick on a pig. Not that I was that unhappy with them anyway, but everyone that was, I think you'll be disappointed if you think there's going to be substantial changes from them specifically. Appreciate you, man. A user has come in with a super chat. Spurs 5, good, bad, and the ugly. That was probably came in when there was 3 of us. Not sure who's the good and the bad, but I know for sure I'm not the ugly one, so we'll move on from there. A user has said, now there's 4 and the sheriff. He's come back in. There you go, Lubo. You've been recognised, mate. You've been recognised. Appreciate you, user. Thank you very much. Peb W or Peb BW has said, I felt Vin I dodged the question about what his role was going to be forward, going to be forward after Levy leaving in the latest video. Johnny?
Yeah, I think he just it was a soundbite. guys. Yeah, I was a bit shocked that Daniel left. You know, we've only been with him a few months. Waxing lyrical about Daniel. I think Daniel gave him the script to wax lyrical. Listen, it was fully scripted. I think Daniel was actually behind the camera. Go on, Vinny. This is what you got to say. Here we go. Like section 1.
But why pretend like it was a shock and a new thing if it wasn't? Why not just say it's been in the works? What's the benefit of saying this is all new information?
Did he seem shocked to you?
No, but if he said I was shocked that he's only been here a few months and he was shocked. If that wasn't the case, if this was always in the Oki, if it's always in the workings, then why not say it? What is the purpose of lying? There's no benefit to lying. He's gone anyway. Why not just say, yeah, look, we've been thinking about this for a long time, yada, yada, yada. But instead, he said, I'm surprised or shocked that he left after working together for a few months. So he's saying that this whole thing wasn't a giant, long, borne-out plan, and this has all come about very quickly, which leads me into
holding on to the door, Daniel? Was he holding on to the door and the security were dragging him? I'm not leaving! And he's hanging on to the door frame.
Maybe.
Shoes.
I don't know, mate. Listen, I'm sorry. Like, no amount of ITKs are going to convince me that there's not mud here, mate. I smell a rat on this one, 100%.
Sean, I'm sure the Lewises have been planning this for some time, and you know when the kids are getting more involved, Vinay's come on board, Charrington's come on board. Levy must have seen his power ebbing away. He must have been aware.
He said he lives on the same estate. Listen, Charrington lives on the same estate, right, as Joe Lewis and him. They live on the same estate in Bahamas. It's a who's who, billionaires who's who estate.
What difference does that make to the story of whether or not?
No, I'm just saying, you know, like when he came in, Daniel must have thought, well, you know, why is he here? You know, it wouldn't have been a surprise. It wouldn't have been surprising. Well, why have you brought him here? Why have you brought him here?
So, but why pretend then that it's all a shock announcement?
I don't believe it's a shock. That's my whole point.
No, I know you don't, but why pretend like it is if it isn't? I'm saying it is. You're saying it isn't. But Vinay's saying it was a shock to see him go so quickly. Yeah, he's suggesting that this is a new piece of information, and it doesn't make sense why they would lie about it. There's no benefit to lying. So
to me, it's a terrible episode of EastEnders. All we needed was the at the end, right? That's all we needed, in my opinion.
Sorry, someone's got to try harder to convince me that this wasn't that this was some big plan. I think that there was a plan, but Daniel Levy wasn't a part of it. I think he has been absolutely sandbagged here, in my opinion. Big up to you, Peb. Super Spurs is back in. That service is the outcome of. Yeah.
But I think Levy knew it was coming because. It was only a month or two ago, Gary Neville said, when do you think people appreciate what you've done? And he said, when I'm gone.
Yeah.
And then conveniently, he then goes. But cryptically, in that answer to Neville, I believe Levy knew well in advance that he is going. I think he knew it was coming.
So why?
I don't think he woke up one morning and he got a phone call saying, Daniel, pack your bags. I don't think that happened. I think it was planned.
So why pretend like it wasn't planned? What's the motivation to pretend like it wasn't? Like it's all just come about very quickly? To prevent
more speculation, more noise, more transfer worries. It's just they try to do it in the calmest way, and in reality,
but they can come clean now and say this was something that's always been. If you're trying to present a unified front, which is what Vinay was doing in that video, saying, I know it might come across like it's crazy, but trust me, you know, it's business as usual here. Then why allow for the speculation now when he's saying it's a shock, right? Why not just say, look, now that the announcement is out there, we can tell you this has been in the works for 6 months. That would have at least said that would have given people more reason to think that there was no everything's fine.
But is there a scenario where Charrington knew, Levy knew, Donna Cullen knew because Daniel said to her that you're going to have to go because I'm going soon as well. But Vinay maybe didn't know that Levy was going to go. Is that not possible?
Sure. No, that's not the story. That's not the story that I'm presenting. I think that Donna Maria Cullen was also sandbagged and got kicked out.
No, I think she knew. I think her and Daniel knew the time was up. If Daniel Levy's answers to Gary Neville are too convenient for me. It's too convenient.
Still, firstly, if you've got two partners and one wants to get rid of the other, then he's not gonna discuss it with a new employee, is he? And Vinay is a new employee. You know, he's going to keep it. He's going to keep it within the family. I don't believe Vinay knew. Vinay may have looked at it and thought to himself, something's happening here. But I don't believe he was actually told. Why would they tell him? This is family business.
So there you go. Okay, so we're on the same page, Lubo, that Daniel Levy this was short notice for him.
What do you mean? Why would they tell him? He's a 30% owner of ENIC, Lubo. What do you mean? Why would they tell him? He's the biggest.
Levy got tucked up in this situation 100%. There's no one can unless someone's got a much better story for me. What I've been told thus far in the last 3 days by people on YouTube channels, no one's convincing me that Daniel Levy was a part of this.
Let me ask you this question.
No chance.
Okay, let me ask you and Lubo this question. You own many companies with Joe Lewis. ENIC is one of them, right? And Joe Lewis, your mentor, your overall boss, puts you in charge. Godfather, whatever the relationship is, puts you in charge of Tottenham for 25 years. 25 years. And you always report back to Joe. Joe, I'm going to sack the manager. Joe, I'm going to hire this manager. Joe, I need a bit more money to spend on this. Joe, we're going to build a new stadium. Joe, like, constantly reporting back to Joe. And Joe says yes or no to whatever he feels he needs to give the final answer on. Okay. And after 25 years, Joe says, do you know what? I'm going to mug this guy off. Not a chance in hell, man. Unless them two had a major bust up. Major. No one knew about. I think Joe Lewis had the overall say on this. And he planned this with Levy, not long term, but maybe the last 2-3 months. And it might even be a case that Daniel said, you know what? I don't know if I want to do this anymore, right?
Why allow the narrative?
This was planned. This was planned.
You're saying it was, but explain to me the benefit in pretending like it was a short news thing, because it allows for Daniel Levy to be essentially mischaracterized as the guy who was thrown under the bus. If you're someone
been the evil guy for 5 years, Sean. Levy's been the evil guy for 5 years.
Not in his own mind, he hasn't. Daniel Levy, by getting on board this story, if it was all part of a long, drawn-out plan, Daniel Levy is being made to look like a mug, and he's been thrown under the bus by people at the Telegraph, by people at the Times, by people at Sky News, and by Simon Jordan. If all of it was planned, that could be nipped in the bud.
Oh, Simon Jordan pointed the finger at Joe Lewis.
Hang on a second, mate. It could be nipped in the bud in 10 seconds if Daniel Levy came out and said this was part of a long process. We always knew it was happening. He hasn't said a word since this news came out, and everybody's left to speculate. And major players. He came out and said, I'm proud of what I've done, but he hasn't come out since the article and cleared up any speculation that he's been thrown under the bus. And if you look at all of the major journalists, they are all leaving so much up for interpretation. And the things that the Lewis children's sources are saying, that we want to share the ambition, all of that stuff. Okay. If there's nothing to see here, if it's a big nothing burger, then what is the benefit of making out like it's a short-term decision?
There is none. The whole point is doing that.
Right, go on.
I'll just say two things. First of all, he's been Dr. Evil for many, many years. And Gary Neville even said to him, does all this negativity towards you bother you? And he said, yeah, it gets to me. So he even admitted that he knows that he's Dr. Evil, and then it bothers him. So this isn't anything new. And for me, there's no way
that doesn't in any way answer the question. What is the benefit?
No, because there's two parts to what you said. The first is, why would you just make Levy kind of the bad guy here? He's been the bad guy for years, is my point. The benefit
only with the people who think he's shit, which is not the majority of the fan base.
But he's the one that said it got to him. But he said it got to him, Sean.
Protests get to anyone, mate. But I'm saying that the rest of the fan base
that means he knows he's Dr. Evil. Which means
the 61,985 people that went to the stadium last Saturday and didn't go to.
Why doesn't he focus on them? So why doesn't Daniel Levy focus on them then? He doesn't. He focuses on the minority then that have bothered him because he knows he's Dr. Evil. Because if
what difference does that make
with the majority?
Isn't that more of a reason for him to come out and say, I'm not allowing this speculation to go on because right now I'm being made to look like I'm the fool guy? Isn't it? If that gets to him and it's not true, if it's all part of a grand consistent plan, why not clarify?
He's got an employment. Hold on. He's got an employment contract, just like every manager that couldn't speak when they were getting sacked. He has got a contract, and if he wants to get his payout, he must adhere to his contract. And maybe he thinks, answering your question,
why allow it? Like, if there's nothing to see here, why even let it start in the first place? If they're all friends, it's all lovey-dovey.
Hang on, so Sean, he could be.
I've waited here
Johnny, he could just one thing.
I've waited. I waited for Stell to finish. I wanted to say my bit, right? First of all, right, I keep hearing these people referred to as children. Vivian Lewis is 62 years of age, right? She ain't a kid, right? I mean, all the people out there going, all the kids are coming to take over, right? The fact that Joe Lewis is 88, right? Okay, fair enough. She's 62 years of age. What makes you think that Daniel Levy's, they're talking about Daniel Levy retiring, he's 65, he's had enough. Why does suddenly she want to get involved at 62 years of age? She suddenly wants to run, this. She's the managing director or the chief director of the Tavistock Group. Why is it taken now that she suddenly wants to be involved? I basically think for Daniel, stepping aside takes him out of the limelight, gives them a clean bill. They must probably have had a conversation. Daniel, if you step aside, mate, right? If you step aside, you'll have peace of mind. You won't have all this shit. You'll still have your money. You'll still have everything, right? And we'll go ahead and we'll either sell bits of the business or get the money in, right? I just
was that decision recent, Johnny, or was it months in the works?
No, I think he's known. I think these discussions have been going on for months. I think they've been going on.
What's the benefit in the narrative from Vinay being that this is new? This is a new thing that allows for the speculation as to whether he was pushed. What's the benefit? No one can explain that benefit to me.
Sean, do you not think that they are negotiating the payout for
regardless? Why not just say this has been working for months? What is the harm?
Still working at the club. He's still at the club. He's still working at the
what? I don't like this. This is a whole different conversation. If they're trying to portray a steady ship, it's business as usual. Why come out and say this is a shock? It's new information. It's happened just now. Why not just say we've been working on this for months? Why not just say it?
But the thing is, why does it? Well, no one has to say just because you want it for people to say it.
No, but they have said that it's new. They have said
it is.
They've said the opposite, Johnny.
By removing him, they remove the protest, the fucking noise, and all the shit. Right, is removed to the side. Right,
and that's fine, but it doesn't answer the question. They have said that this is new. Vinay said this is new. It's a shock. I didn't expect this to happen. Which suggests that the decision was made now, which amplifies the noise as to was he pushed. And if Daniel Levy was on board this, and he has been for months, and to your rationale, if it's always been a part of the play, where is the problem in just saying, look, it's happening now, but it's been in the works for a year? Wouldn't that actually present more of a unified front? It would present more of a continuation of all is fine here. It's business as usual. The fact that they've gone a different way suggests to me that there's something else at play.
I've got to go with Sean on this one, mate. I'm serious. I've got to go with Sean. I think something's happened. There must have been a bust up. At the moment, we haven't even heard, Levy's son is still
there. So why is he still there? Why is he still doing business at the club?
Exactly.
Well, why is he still there?
Spot on, Johnny. Spot on.
Because he's a shareholder in Enoch.
Yeah, but he doesn't need to be. You can have gardening leave. Thank you very much. See ya.
Or a transition period that you spoke about earlier. But maybe that transition period didn't start in February or March or April. Maybe it started on Monday.
It is. The whole thing is strange. It's not a normal orthodox situation, is it?
What if Levy himself wanted to go? Has anyone thought about that? Maybe he just said, I don't want to know.
Then why not just say it?
Well, he hasn't said he hasn't. You're assuming
Vinay said it's new. The only question I'm asking is why everyone is so insistent on this being...
Sean, what did Vinay exactly say? What did Vinay exactly say, word for word?
He said it's come as a shock. I've only just been working with him for a few months. For him to leave, it's a shock.
Okay,
think
maybe
it
he's
probably
shocked
is
that
to
Daniel
Vinay.
doesn't want to carry on.
Sean, it probably is a shock to Vinay.
I don't think Vinay knew. I did say this. I don't think Vinay was aware.
We're going round in circles.
You know what? We are. Why
Sean,
would
you just want to create a drama, right? We're trying to put Levy behind us, and you want to keep talking about Levy. This is you now. This is you're the one talking about.
Oh wait, I'm not asking these questions as some sort of defender of Levy. There's nothing I'm saying that's defending him. I'm actually suggesting that maybe his behaviour in the background has created some chaos between these families that are supposed to be united. So I'm not in any way saying this to defend him. I'm saying it to try to understand how this thing came about, because what's happening now is going to affect us for the months, months and years to go, right?
Sure, there's something coming through on Sky Sports News. It says Sean Butler joining up with Change for Tottenham.
Yeah, he wants him back in.
Enoch out. Sean
Enoch
Butler Change for Tottenham now.
Listen, look. The thing is, right? Daniel is not running the football club anymore. We need to move on, and we need to talk about how we see the club from here on in. He's yesterday's spilt milk. And,
fair enough, Johnny.
You know, we could go round and round in circles on this. I think we will get more clarity. I think we'll get more news will start to eke out over the time. Yeah. I think a naming rights deal would shut a lot of people up. That would get a lot of positivity, some money coming in. Not as like Stel said before, what is it? It's just talk that they're going to put 100 million in. There's been no concrete evidence of that money coming in. And why 100 million? You know, why not 200 million? If you're going to show intent, why can't they put 200 million in? You know, I mean, Arsenal just spent 275 million net in the last window. Yeah. Let's see.
Yeah, 100 million doesn't move the needle, but if that's the play here to try and placate fans that have felt like they've been starved for a long time, then that's a great. Castell, can we just finish off the super chats before we get back into a debate? Because we got halfway through and then we got sidetracked. Blaine TV says that service is the outcome of how well Lubo performed after the Levy sacking. Man's got pep in his step. I think that's regarding your cup of coffee, Lubo, a little while ago. Appreciate you, Blaine. Thanks so much. Tell us about Brian DeSiegel. Mr. Box Office, he says, my heartbeats resonates with the name the Spurs 5. Appreciate you very much, mate. Very nice sentiments, buddy. John Sheridan says, is Lubo paying for a night out from his payout when the club is sold? Are we doing a Spurs 5 night out, mate, with your share sale?
Maybe.
How many shares you got, Lube?
Oh, not many.
Go on,
Lubo. Not enough to nice out with you lot.
How many?
727.
It's very good. 727. That's impressive.
727.
Lubo, I like Mayfair, I like Michelin stars, and I like the Connaught Hotel cocktail.
Just working that out at the moment. 300 million. 300.
Johnny's your man.
11 or 12 pound a share, probably something like that.
Johnny's your man.
You get about $9 grand, Lubo. It's enough to pay for my Viva Street exploits. I promise you for an evening, mate. We're fine.
That would just about pay for a night out with you on the booze, wouldn't it, Sean?
Just about. And Whole Spurs, big up to you. He says Aramco Saudis on the grapevine. I've heard. Let's use that as the catalyst. Thank you very much, Whole Spurs. Let's use that as the catalyst to quickly sort of walk into who these two people are. So the first name is obviously the Stavely Group. We know about them. They have obviously also came out this evening and said that there's no intention to make a full offer. And the other group is Firehawk Holdings,
Wingfi and G.
Wingfi and G, and a doctor whose name escapes me off the top of my head. Who they are both obviously from Hong Kong or Chinese ancestry, but massive in-plays into American private equity, American trusts, American hedge funds, all that sort of stuff. But the main story, the main connection between those two is through Triller. So Triller is the social media network, if you're unfamiliar, guys, who try to take on TikTok or Musical.ly in its initial fashion and failed. These days, they're more of a little bro to DAZN. They try to get involved with live streaming of things like bare knuckle fights. I think they only had a $50 million revenue last year, so they're very, very small fry. But these two are not the only two, but They're the two of the talk at the moment. They have the latter, this Chinese consortium haven't yet come out and said that they're not going to make a formal bid. So we could still have a takeover offer from them, but we won't have it from the Stavely consortium. What are your thoughts, guys, on the Chinese consortium and how that might look?
Triller do a division football, bare knuckle fighting, obviously niche sports, niche football. But I just wonder whether, these are the guys that are putting a consortium together to buy the club. I mean, for me, the play, if it's not oil money from Saudi or Qatar, it certainly makes sense to me from an NFL point of view that we spoke about this before. I'm a huge NFL fan. Probably in the minority in the Spurs fan base, but I see the fact that emerging an NFL franchise in America with an English football team, with the proviso of trying to acquire a poor franchise. I think it's the Panthers are still worth 5.8 billion. The average franchise in America is worth 8 billion. I think we said, was that right, Sean? About 8 billion. The average
Cardinals is the least, is the lowest value. Yes. But yeah, the average between
8 billion. So considerably more than the 3.5 to 4 billion that Spurs were worth. And if you look at someone like Fenway Estates, Fenway Sports, should I say, Fenway Estates, they have been a success in multiple sports in America and, of course, in this country. And I would really like to see someone with the ambition of someone like Fenway, if they are going to come in from America, rather than just a private equity company like a Clear Lake Capital, who's just going to come in and, look to piss around with our football club. I like someone with the ambition who wants to come over here and add it to their portfolio. We saw the Woody Johnson, the owner of the New York Jets, take a 40% stake in Crystal Palace. But I think Spurs are a whole different ball game, and I really would like to see someone from America. If it has to be American, I would prefer to see that than private equity. I don't want to see leverage buyout like from the Glazers. Don't want to ever see that at our club. I don't know what you guys think, but leverage buyout is a massive no-no for me.
Well, unless it's a Fenway type operation where you've got people who are already in the sporting business.
Correct.
For me, based on what I've heard over the last few days, it's got to be Inikin.
Are you going on the march? He's starting his own.
Silence. Silence. Look at this. I said Inikin, and there's silence. Sean's gone for it. Look.
Well, I'm in transition at the moment, mate. I'm not sure how I feel about this whole Enoch thing. Their first demonstrations, this new vision of whatever they're trying to put out there.
That will be funny. That will be funny. If I'm Enoch in and you're Enoch out, and we're round on here,
100%.
Hey.
Yeah, look, with regards the American side though, Lube, like for me, like I echo what Johnny's saying. Like there's a hell of a lot of value if you were an American investor that has that sort of 5-10 year horizon when they look at what's likely to happen with regards. I think they've got 8 overseas games this year, American and the NFL. I think they're in Brazil as well as London and elsewhere as well. Like it's a global sport that's played in one country. That's going to change. And I think it's also going to change. Barcelona have recently got approval for their first game to be played in Florida. That's going to be the slippery slope that's going to bring all of these things to be, commonplace. And just look at the revenues that are being generated by those NFL teams and then compare them to the valuations. And there is a massive valuation gap on the revenues that are similar to what Tottenham Hotspur generates, 600 million quid, 580, whatever. Those clubs in the NFL ecosystem that generate 580 million pounds worth of revenue, they're still valued at $7-8 billion dollars, right? So, to me, I think if you're an American, you could look at Tottenham, you could look at the ecosystem that we're building, you could look at the white webs, the NFL, all of that stuff, and easily figure out the multiplier to get their valuation in 10 years' time from 3.5 or whatever it would cost to buy them to sort of like 10, 11 billion especially when you get those media naming rights deals that might be Netflix for sport, all of those kickers and those amplifiers in the future that are not around the court, that are not too far away. To me, I think that whilst you're filtering out a lot of people at 3.5 billion, there's still a lot of people that might see the project and think, I'm happy to get involved. Whether or not it's this Chinese consortium, I'm not convinced. What I've seen of these guys, I don't think they've got, if we think that Daniel Levy has taken Tottenham as far as he can, are we really looking for bigger and better by getting on board with someone who's running Triller? I'm not sure.
No. Listen, I'd like to see a joint buyout between Elon Musk and Donald Trump. Make Tottenham great again. That would be good.
That would be good, wouldn't it?
Can I say, Johnny?
Sorry, wasn't
if
it
Elon
a
Musk
great video by Michael Jackson?
Wait, if Elon Musk bought Tottenham, I'll tell you one thing that would be amazing.
The Tesla Dome?
No, the Twitter X, the X Stadium.
The X Stadium. How amazing, right? Twitter's already toxic for Spurs fans. Imagine Elon now weighing in on Twitter for Spurs. Mate, it'd be fucking hilarious. He'd be dropping weekly tweets like looking forward to putting Kroenke back in his box and dear Spurs fans, just letting you know my legal team is looking into whether or not we can move Arsenal back to South London. Just imagine the shithousery we'd get on Twitter. I think it'd be amazing.
Can't wait till we sign Morgan Gibbs-White. Marinakis who?
Yeah. I've got dirt on Marinakis. Don't worry, Gibbs-White's joining.
I mean, listen, joking aside, I was joking obviously about Donald Trump, although those in the chat seem to take him very seriously.
Tony, would you take Elon?
Listen, Elon, if he came in, he'd probably do something ludicrous, though, unfortunately. He's just been offered a massive deal to go back to Tesla. So I'm not sure if he's got time to run a football club. But I'm definitely not for any leverage buyout. Okay, I don't want to see any leverage buyout our football club, using this football club as a cash cow, i.e. the Glazers. I don't want to see a Clear Lake Capital. I don't want to see any of that. I'd like to see, as I said, if it's going to be an American buyer, someone with a sports background or sports ownership background, or the oil backing. I'm actually excited for the next 4 or 5 years. I actually think that the club really has now got the opportunity to kick on.
I was listening on Radio 5 a few weeks ago, and they had a financial guy on, and they were talking about the Glazers and Man United. And the guy was saying, I don't know how true these figures are, but the guy was saying that for the money that the Glazers have pulled out of United and put them into debt, United are paying £30 million a year in interest.
Yeah, and they've taken out over £1 billion quid in dividends.
Yeah, it sounds like a UK government.
Yeah, listen, they could have put holes, they could have fixed the stadium, they could have built a proper stadium. And let me tell you, Jim Ratcliffe, who thinks he's going to build this 100,000 seater stadium with government funding, get real, mate. They can't even fund the chocolate box. Look, at the end of the day, the cost of that stadium would be 2 billion plus. There are already hundreds and hundreds of million in.
Johnny, more than that, Johnny. Yeah. More than that.
Yeah. It's I mean, I was there last time. There's holes, the rain coming through the roof. They have built a new training ground, but let's be serious, they need a new stadium. I just don't want to go through what Man United have gone. Not with, obviously, I'd like to go through what they've done, winning trophies, but we don't want owners like this. And this would be a typical example of be careful what you wish for.
Yeah. Sean, can I just say for this, right? I don't care where the money comes from for the owners. Football isn't clean and football isn't ethical when it comes to the owners and their backgrounds and their finances. So that doesn't bother me. But what I do want is an ownership that puts football first. I'm happy for them to make their money. I'm happy for them to take profit. But I want them to put football first and balance business and football more so than what I believe we are, which is more corporate than business. more
What does that
corporate
look
than
like,
football.
please? In accountable and measurable and specific ways?
I think
We had
what
this
Liverpool have done. I think what Liverpool have done.
days ago.
Sure, I think what Liverpool have done with their ownership is a really good example. The way they've gone about it, I think that is a really great way of doing it. What I agree with Johnny
How have they gone about it? Just can you give me some specifics?
They've built a stand. They've done it bit by bit over the period of time. You know, they've invested like 150, 200 million on a new stand, and then they built another stand.
I'll tell you what they've done. I'll tell you what they've done. What they've done is they've recruited the right personnel to do the football work, the scouting, the data analytics, the managing, and they've trusted them to make the footballing decisions, as opposed to too much interference from a chairman or a board that want to make decisions that involve the football. They've trusted the people that they've hired to do the football work, and it's paid dividends, and they've backed it. They've backed it when they've been in the position to back it. What I don't want, and I agree with Johnny, is an ownership like the Glazers that come in, straddle us with debt so that they can purchase the club, then struggle to pay that debt, and then take dividends out of the club whilst they can't afford to pay the canteen lady.
Oh my God.
I don't want any of that shit, because we will end up in a mess.
The Liverpool example. So all you want. So what we're doing currently is absolutely fine. It's just whoever's the representation. No, I'm saying whatever we're doing with regards the ability to generate money, because you didn't mention anything about money generation from Liverpool. You basically said what they're doing, what that looks like, that's so successful. And again, it's easy to reverse engineer it and say they're successful, therefore it works. What have they done? But all you said was just employ the right people and trust them.
What I just said was to focus on the football. Sean. Hold on. I see what Sean's trying to do there. I'm focusing.
I'm just trying to understand your point. You said. I said, what is it doing?
The way you worded it was but the way you worded it was if I'm just ignore the money side of it. I'm not. What Liverpool have done successfully is they have focused on the football stuff and allowed the football people to make the football decisions. Liverpool, when it comes to business, are in a slightly better position than us on the basis that their global fan base is so fucking huge. They generate income globally that we can't do because we're not that size club. But the reason they've got that size fan base is because they win the trophies. That's why they've got that size. Man United are in the same position. Their global fan base is massive. Massive.
Sorry, just quickly to clarify, their outperformance in revenue is because of their consistent, their merit money and their Champions League money, and a couple of things from sponsors specific to that. It's not because of their fan base, not because they outsell us in commercial. It's because of their consistent approach to being first or second, which gets them an extra, 10 million, 15 million quid over people that finish sixth or seventh. Their revenue is about 80 million more than us, isn't it?
Look at the money. Sure. Look at the money that they have brought in on outgoings, transfer outgoings this summer.
Right,
a fortune, because their recruitment's good. Luis Diaz comes in for.
That's aided by the draw that they have. Right, that the brand they have. When they pick up the phone, every player doesn't need to think about it. They're going there if Liverpool want them. Apart from with Real Madrid, the exception.
But Sean,
they're gone.
Sean, you still got to identify the right players, and they're doing that.
So it comes down, So what you want from our ownership is essentially just better talent ID, things that are happening with regards.
I want the football people to be in charge of the football decisions. That's what I want.
That's what's happening now with Vinay and whoever the DOS.
We don't know yet. We haven't seen it fully in action. If Thomas Frank gets sacked in 2 years, it's the same shit. Liverpool's genuine. For me, the last 10, 12 years, they poached some of the best talent from Spurs to do the data analytics at their club, and it paid dividends. They stuck with Klopp for 5 years when he was winning nothing. Klopp won nothing for 5 years, and they stuck with him. We don't do that. We just don't do it enough. We get rid of the managers. We chop and change way too much.
Can't believe the game Israel versus Italy, Lube. Unbelievable. Italy were 4-2 up. 4-2 up with 2 minutes to go. It went 4-4, and then they scored in the 91st minute to make it 5-4. Italy are dog shit at the moment. It must be.
Sean, but by the way, I've said this many times before, okay? The money Spurs have spent the last 5-6 years is unacceptable for the squad that we've got. We have been one of the biggest spenders, and this is where I'll give credit to Enoch and Levy. We have spent fucking big money, man. We really have. When people say, "Oh, we don't spend enough," we spend. The problem is with Spurs, it's two things.
Wages.
One, do we pay? Luba, let me finish before you jump in. I know you want to speak as well. Do we pay enough wages to entice the slightly better caliber players to come? I'd say probably not. And when we spend money, we spend it badly way too often, regardless of manager. 6-7 different managers, the money hasn't been spent right, which says the scouting, the recruitment team, the restrictions put on what type of player must come in, it doesn't work. And this is why football people need to be employed and just let them get on with it.
Then? So who do you? So let's sort of play that one out. So Vinay is currently in charge. He said today it's him that's running the show. Charrington stepping back, Levy's gone. So Vinay's in charge. At the moment, as it stands, his number 2 is Johan Lang.
Yeah.
We don't know whether or not Paratici's coming back to be in charge in a more full-time capacity.
No
So
serious football club.
Who do you want to give the keys of the kingdom to all of the footballing decisions to?
What I wanted was for Ralph Ragniak to become the director of football and for him to build the footballing side of the business.
Okay, but he's not available right now.
Okay, everyone's got a price. What I don't want is for people to think, oh, yeah, it's all great now whilst Lange is still at this club. We're not serious if Lange is at this club. He's not a serious...
You can't be serious. You can't be serious.
Lange has to be moved out at some point. He can't stay.
I mean, you look at Man United, it's not about spending money. It's never been about just spending money. It's about spending the money on the right players. Look at Man United, Højlund,
Correct.
Sancho, Onana, I mean, Casemiro, Anthony. I mean, like Jadon Sancho. I mean, the amount of money that they have thrown down that toilet is incredible, and they just have not got it right. What we're asking for is that yes, we do spend the money in comparison to others, but we're all about the recruitment. The recruitment is crucial, absolutely crucial. And getting
are we all as a fan base going to agree on who that person is?
Well, no, not always, Sean. I mean, there is a rarity. You know, for example, Eze was probably a rarity in the sense that most of the fan base were in agreement that's a player they'd like to see at the club. But you're right. There's always a division about who is the right player or the right striker. I mean, I'm a fan of Kolo Muani. A lot of people said dog shit. A lot of people, you and I were big fans of Adamara Lukman. A lot of people said, why would you want him at the club? So there's always the division. But if we were to hit and, listen, there's universal approval for Xavi Simons, but, Xavi Simons was on the bench for Holland. If he was this iconic player, would he not be starting for Holland? I think we've already overhyped him and expecting like him to hit the ground running and absolutely smash it from the off.
Johnny, isn't the problem, mate, that like it's a reverse engineering thing, right? It's revisionist. Like the correct recruitment is only celebrated after the fact if the players that are bought turn out to be successful.
I don't disagree with you, but like we said,
they failed too often.
Not only have Man United spent ridiculous sums of money, they haven't learnt their lessons. They've just spent 85 million on Sesko. They paid over the odds for Brian Mbeumo. I don't say that Brian Mbeumo is a bad player, he's a good player, but paying over £70 million, I think is nonsense, really. And the same for, I'm a massive fan of Matheus Cunha. He's looking like a bargain at 60.
Johnny, would you rather pay 70 million for Mbeumo or 60 million for Solanke or Richarlison?
No, 100%. I agree with you. I agree with you. 65 million for Solanke. I was praying we never signed Solanke. It was one of the worst signings we've ever made. That's my opinion.
That was Ange, wasn't it? That was his choice.
Yeah, and Conte was Richarlison and Poch was, what's his name? Played in midfield. We got him from Newcastle. I forgot his name. Sissoko. Mate, it happens with every manager at Spurs because the recruitment process is it's not one geared up for footballing success in this world.
Oh my God! It finished 5-5. Guess who scored?
Go on, Solomon.
Manor Solomon.
5th goal. There you go.
Amazing.
Oh, hang on. Is it just someone's pissing me about? I think someone's pissing me about. I think someone's pissing me about. It's 5-4 to Italy. It must be Ange must be the manager of Israel, I think. Where do we think he's going to go? Are we going to see him in the Premier League, Ange? What do you reckon?
I want Arteta. That's what I want.
You know my friend that I spoke about earlier, the hotel guy.
Yeah, he's come back.
He flew back from Greece yesterday, and guess who was on the plane in front of him?
Ange.
Yeah. He's a gooner, by the way, my mate. He spoke to Ange as well, and he said he's a top bloke. He said he's genuinely a top bloke. He was playing solitaire on his iPad all the way home. He was looking at him. He didn't ask him about leave your Spurs because he's not a Spurs fan. I wish he did.
Training. What are you talking? He played solitaire in his office while everyone else was training. That's why we lost 22 games.
Luke, I want to give you the.
Ange is currently in the UK though. That's my point. He's back in the UK, so maybe he's looking.
I think he'll end up at Forest or West Ham. Personally,
bye, Nuno.
Luke, I want to give you the first dibs on this one. Harry Kane spoke today, there was noise coming out of Germany that Harry Kane is going to leave Bayern Munich before the end of his contract, which essentially means it will probably be in the summer or the following January. Not this January, probably too soon. You've been pushing for this story for the last 2 years, mate. Do you want to? Do you think it's plausible? And would you take him at 34 years old?
Well, I'll refresh everyone's memory. I sat the Spurs Outmile last October. Right, guys sat next to me who I used to see at half time through a mutual friend, and this chap that was sat next to me a few years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, was telling everybody that Bale was coming back on a loan for a year. And what happens? We all laughed at him. Bale came back for the year during COVID. So he sat down and said, "How are you doing, Howard?" He said, "You all took the piss, didn't you? You took the piss out of me. You're going to apologise about Bale." I said, "Yeah, I'm sorry, Howard. We all took the piss. You were right." He said, "Well, I've got some more news for you from the same ITK." He said, "Harry's coming back, and it's either going to be this coming January or next summer." He said, "You're not laughing now. You're not going to call me a bullshitter now." And I said, "Fair enough. If you got Bale right and it's coming from the same guy, then so based on my previous experience with him as an ITK,
Jeff,
you got Bale right." No, it's not Jeff. It's not Jeff.
Son of Jeff.
Chap called Howard. And Howard, if you're watching, there you go. I've given you a name check. You reckon Chopper told you that Kane's coming back. There we go. I'll
tell you what.
It will come back with Daniel Levy not here.
In terms of fact, hang on. In terms of facts, these are the reasons why he could come back. Number one, he wants to be the leading goal scorer in the Premier League. Number two, hang on,
1 minute, Johnny. Lubo's doing his political. What's it called? They call it manifesto. His manifesto.
Levy's gone. Number three, look at the other Premier League clubs. You know, the big clubs. Chelsea have just bought centre forwards. Liverpool got Ekitike and Isak. So take out Liverpool, Chelsea. Arsenal got Gyökeres. City have got Haaland. And who's the other one? Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, City.
Man United have just
bought Sesko.
And Mbeumo.
So we are the biggest club for him to come back to.
All right. Well, I believe he's going to go to Barcelona and follow Lewandowski. That's my belief. I believe he's always wanted to play for Barcelona, and I think that's where he will go straight after, because he'll be able to play in Spain probably for at least another 2 or 3 years. I
think he wants that record, Johnny. I mean, listen, Bale replaced Bale, Eriksen replaced Eriksen. Why not Kane replacing Kane?
No, it's not out the realms of possibility, but I still think he'll go to Barcelona.
Eriksen replaced Eriksen when?
Yeah.
He never came back when he left.
He didn't come back.
No.
Everyone was saying Ericsson would replace Ericsson. I thought he came back didn't come back for a short time.
Lubo, you've lost the plot.
I've lost the plot tonight.
You said you lost the plot.
I've lost the plot.
Came back to Man United.
Yes, he did. He did.
Bale returned. Who else returned? Did anyone else ever return to Spurs?
Anybody else returned?
Klinsmann came back once, didn't he? Klinsmann came back.
That was a long time ago.
Klinsmann came back.
Yeah,
He came back to save us from relegation, didn't he?
Ben Davies won't leave.
Sheringham.
Sheringham, did he come back for a bit? I can't remember.
No,
I think that's it.
I'll tell you who's coming back. Daniel Levy.
Guys, can I ask this question? This isn't me trying to wind up or joke. Is there a realistic possibility of a Daniel Levy-led consortium that buys out the percentage of ENIC shares that Joe Lewis owns, and that consortium takes over Spurs? I'm not mucking around here because I was playing this through my head yesterday. I can see that as a possibility.
Daniel Levy taking out ENIC.
Well, Joe Lewis's share of ENIC.
Guess who's back?
He can't negotiate on behalf of ENIC. Is he going to be able to negotiate against ENIC? I can't see that happening. Be good though. Be good fun to see it.
But okay, whatever the ins and outs of that agreement working, is there a world where Daniel Levy puts together a consortium and buys Tottenham Hotspur?
Yeah,
and uses his son, who's on the board of Tavistock, to get dirt on Joe Lewis and blackmail them into agreeing to terms.
Never in a million years. Never in a million years.
Guys, please stop talking about all the people in the chat and everyone. Stop talking about Joe Lewis's children coming like they're fucking 20 years of age. As I said, they're 62 and a 60, right? There ain't no spring chickens that are going to pop along and suddenly rejuvenate the club. They've never been in sport in their entire lives.
Johnny, the fact that they're turning up at the West Ham game, mate. I don't want to get back onto the previous rehashed story, but like, isn't that just another piss take? Like, we're here to change things up. We're going to do what Daddy never did. We're going to be at the West Ham game. Like, what are we doing here? Exactly. Honestly, I think it's a little bit embarrassing.
She was on the tour. Did you not see all of the clips? Or Viv was on tour.
Really?
She was on tour.
I didn't see that.
Can I say?
Hang on, Vinny said. If Vinny said it, must be true. Vinny said
he did, didn't he?
Yeah.
If Levy in a consortium buys out Spurs, I will literally feel so ill. I don't know whether or not I could do this ever again. This whole Spurs.
Viv, my chairman.
My chairman.
Chairman Viv.
Could you imagine from Levy out to Levy gone to Levy's back? Fucking hell. Fuck my life.
Genuine question for the Levy outers. If this January is a shit show window, who do you blame?
Everyone.
It's not going to be a good window, though, is it?
No, it is. January. No, January we're going to spend the money. Listen, Sean and I said we'd spend the money. We'd buy proper players.
The problem is, Johnny, Champions League's still going on because it doesn't end to the end of January now. So who's going to want to do business with Champions League? I think it's difficult. I really do. They've changed the Champions League format. Normally it ended at Christmas. Now it goes into January. I think that's a problem.
Listen, I personally think that Daniel has hired Mossad and the team to release Morgan Gibbs-White's dog that's been held captive by Marinakis, and we bring in Morgan Gibbs-White. I think we'll sign a couple of decent players. I think we'll have a shock. I still think Savinho's a possibility if he doesn't play Champions League football. If he doesn't play Champions League football, I would still say that's a possibility.
The way Man City are going, let's see if Pep's still there come January.
Yeah, could you imagine if Ange was the manager?
Mate, he'll win a trophy next season.
Who will?
Ange with Man City.
Ange with Man City. He'd probably get them relegated. Now that would be something, wouldn't it?
Relegated.
No. He's never been relegated. Ange has never been relegated. He's never been relegated ever.
What's your thoughts on the have you seen the story about the ATP, the third party transactions that's been sort of cleared up today, that they've settled out of court, whatever, and they've shut down any particular
What a fucking joke, man. What an absolute joke. This is what I'm saying to you. Football, forget ethics and morals and where the money comes from. Football is done. They've bought out and they've paid off and silenced everyone. If that doesn't tell you, stop being ethical and moral about our owners, whoever they are, there you go. There you go.
No, listen, it's after the horses bolted again, Sean. Look, we do know, we've spoken about it many, many times on Football Inc. about the loans that Arsenal have been getting from the Cronkies at almost 0%, that a loan that no one else could get from a banking facility, which gives Arsenal a huge, huge advantage. These loopholes should be shut down, just the same as City's loopholes, just the same as Chelsea's loopholes of selling the football team to themselves, the women's football team to themselves, the hotel to themselves, signing players to Blueco Company and sending them off to Strasbourg. How many players went to Strasbourg from Chelsea this season? Was it 9? I've lost count. The whole thing's a farce, right? And unless someone clamps down on it and the body, the Premier League, do something about it.
I don't want to though, Johnny.
They don't. There's no appetite.
They had
for
a
it.
chance to in May, and they said, "No, there's no appetite." Which is
So
a
sure.
I talked about for months. I was like, it doesn't matter if all you need is one more dissenter, and then suddenly the minimum or the minimum amount of people that vote for a change is irrelevant. And it got this particular one that happened in May or whatever it was, early June. It didn't even get to the vote, Johnny, because there's absolutely no appetite for these owners to change to change PSR.
So Daniel is a dinosaur. This is my whole point. Daniel was the dinosaur. He was the guy pissing in the wind, right? Trying to stink like Ange, clinging to that tactic. You know, he's going to die on that hill. These are my tactics. And Daniel's going to die on the hill of FFP and PSR while no one else is abiding by those rules. People are trying to circumvent those rules. And he was living with them in the hope that somehow or other, one day that these rules would be fulfilled. And he was being naive. I would say that's one of his failings, this naive belief that FFP and PSR would one day become a thing. And we've seen that it hasn't.
It has become a thing.
Well, there are ways to circumvent it, Sean,
sure.
and you've seen the ones who have managed to do that successfully.
More so PSR than FFP, I'd say.
Yeah. But they've.
Listen, we got the V team with us now. Viv and Vinny. We'll be fine. Don't you worry.
My cousin Vivi.
Hey, yeah, Vivi.
Sorry, Sean. I thought we were talking about all the charges now gone away. I thought that's what.
No, not the 115 charges, just the one that. So there was the APTs, the associated party transactions that basically they got in trouble for. They tried to put a commercial deal through. It got blocked a couple of years ago. They then took that to court, took the Premier League to court. They won the appeal, but the Premier League's decision was Manchester City's argument was, you can't stop us from getting sponsorships from associated parties at whatever price we want. It's against the laws of business generally, to which they won. And then on top of that, they said, by the way, also, if you're going to what's good for the goose is good for the gander. If you're going to hold us to that account, then you should also be throwing the same mud towards those clubs that take loans at 0 or near 0 interest rates. And the Premier League turned around initially in their first finding and said, you're absolutely right. There is no difference between APT amplified sponsorships and the benefit of having these loans. But rather than turning around and saying neither should happen, they initially turned around and said actually both should happen, which makes a mockery of the entire thing. And so now they've got this settlement now, which basically says that the Manchester City recognise that the rules are legit. They're not going to challenge them anymore, but they've also settled out of court so they can go ahead and move forward with that amplified sponsorship deal. So more of the same, more of the same, like 2-tier system of.
Mate, Johnny's right. Levy was hoping that the world would make sense of its errors and come together and have a fair playing field for football clubs. But the reality is it's not going to fucking happen because business has become so prominent in football now. It's only going in one direction, that you either go with it or good night. And that's it. That's it.
It's all right.
I think Match and Joe's had hit nail on in the head. If they ever made a movie about Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, Lubo would be perfect casting to play Daniel Levy. I think.
Who would everyone else be? I'd be Nuno. I'd have to be Nuno.
You imagine that? You'd love that, wouldn't you? You'd love that.
Yeah. Sean would be Ange.
I'll have to be Ange.
No, hold on. Sean could be.
Johnny's got a bit of what's his name? It was that manager we had. Was it Houston? Went to Brighton. What's his name?
Paul Barber. No, Sean could be Billy T for change for Tottenham. That would suit you there.
No, he looks nothing like Billy T.
Billy T. You got Billy T. Doesn't look anything like Billy T. Doesn't like anything.
What are you saying? I do look a little bit like Ange. What are we doing here?
You said it. You said it.
Probably a compliment, to be entirely honest, for me.
Have we got any more super chats, Sean?
Yeah, a couple more, and then we'll round off, I think, if that's okay, guys. We've got a few minutes before we have to break the 2-hour mark. Finn McMullen has said 19 more sleeps until you reunite with Helga, Sean. Bodo away. Butler, the Viva Street demon. Less of that. Thank you very much for the super chat, my man. Johnny, we still haven't got Bodo sorted. We need to speak about that. And by the way, I've got a couple of people that messaged me on email that want to get on board that channel as well. Appreciate you very much. Hollywood Hotspur, in fact, he's one of them. He messaged me saying, can we get a ticket? Can you get a ticket to the Bodo game? Little Birdie.
Is Hollywood Hotspur our guy in Norway?
No, that's Roy Viking. No, Hollywood Hotspur's in Hollywood, funnily enough, but I think he's flying over to Bodo anyway, but he can't get a ticket. So if we can sort it out, that would be perfect. He says, Little Birdie still tells me the Qataris are very interested. Well, hope so, mate. Hope so. But like I say, I don't think it can't. If it's coming through Stavely, it can't come through a full takeover for at least 6 months. But maybe an initial investment will be the catalyst. Appreciate you, mate. Cap Funt, a super sticker from you says, just a super sticker. Thank you very much, mate. Choo to you indeed, Cap Funt. Appreciate you. And Football Heritage TV. Sava, we missed you tonight. What the F is a chocolate box? Johnny, that was your bit. I think halfway through a rant, you said someone said the chocolate box.
I just threw in the chocolate box. Trust you to come up with the spot the mistake competition. Yes, it was a mistake, but it's like a chocolate teapot, totally useless, not fit for purpose, a bit like Daniel Levy at the present. So, yes.
By the way, I'd like to. Sorry, Joe. I'd like to thank the all the people making comments who think tonight I could play Daniel Levy, Attila Lombardo, Martin Yole, and Pierluigi Collina.
Very good.
Yeah,
and a Russian mafia hitman. So it's been a bit of a night.
And the 1980s Team GB swimmer Duncan Goodhue.
Wow. Quickly, Reading 44 says Tell has got a brace tonight. There you go. My winger's back in the game. He did actually say regarding his dropping from the Champions League squad. Just quickly, he said, so today it's definitely a disappointment. I would have liked to have been there, but the coach's choice is the coach's choice. We can only respect it, and we'll work to come back in the best possible way. He's only played 19 minutes in the Premier League this season. Super quick, guys. We've got 5 seconds each. Is Matisse Tell going to use this as a catalyst to have a better season, or is he going to sulk and it's all going to end in tears?
Only time will tell.
Waste of money, not good enough. Should never have come to our club. We should never have put any money on the table to sign him after his poor 4 months when he was on loan. Scored 2 goals tonight. It's kids football under 21. Well done.
Wow.
I hope he proves us all wrong and scores 10 or 15 goals this season.
Same. 100%. All right, guys, that's it from us. Appreciate you all. Please get over to OK Jersey. Reminder, if you are looking for the best and most fairly priced football shirts in town, you can get them for about £15 each by going to okjersey.com or going to the QR code. You get an 8% discount at checkout with the code 5, F-I-V-E. We're going to leave it there. We'll be back on Thursday. Anything we need to know from you guys around streams or visibility?
Hang on a minute. You're not going to... Is this for your reel, Sean? I don't want to ruin your reel.
No, I'm not interested in that. We good to go?
Get down at Football Inc.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
Stel, by Thursday, you're going to have better Wi-Fi, aren't you? Is that what you said?
No, Monday. I should
Good
have
luck with the
fibre
move,
optic.
Good luck with the move. Stell's on
Thank
the
you.
move. Good luck with that.
On the
Yeah,
move,
good
yeah.
luck.
And Lubo's on his way for casting for the Miami Vice revisited.
I'm going to the Trust evening on Wednesday night where there's podcasters. It's a podcasters evening. So
Lubo's desperate to try and get us a spot in the future. But we got to go, guys. We've got 33 seconds before Perchy's job is incredibly difficult. See you on Thursday, everyone. Like, subscribe, and comment. As always.
Come on, you Spurs.